Hello YouTube. So here's the thing. My roommate and I decided to work on building a couple of DIY projects so they would be a good complement to our resumes. But then why not share them with an interested audience if we could? And that's why we started this series of videos. The first project we started working on is a hydroponic vertical farming system. But first, let's talk terminology. So hydroponic can be divided into two sections. Hydro, which comes from hodor, Greek word for water, and ponic, which comes from ponos, Greek word for work or labor, so they both translate to water working in a way. Wikipedia says that it's a subset of hydroculture, which means growing plants without soil. A regular agricultural cycle would usually be dependent on the nutrients of the soil itself when we plant any kind to harvest, which proved that it works for centuries. But what if we change that and optimize the process? What if we do it vertically? Or even indoors where certain growth factors can be better controlled. Okay, enough with this silly jazz vibe, let's get to work. So now we're just 55 kilometers away from Johannesburg. Korea's father allowed us to use one of his containers that would look like one of these, but it's going to be in the house, exactly right there. It'll not have any light access, so that will give us more light control and other conditions control. I forgot to mention that we needed to print a tripod for our phones to record the process during the video. We faced the problem fitting the phone holder component to the top of the tripod, and we had to do some manual fixes. That's it, and here you go. So I went to go take a look at the container we're going to be using for our project and the pipes that we've got. These were supposed to be cut equally into 2-meter pipes, and it was not so difficult to achieve this since they were cut off 6-meter pipes. You only needed to cut each one of them into 3 pieces. God, how difficult this could be as a task. Anyways, we ended up having to fix this problem ourselves. So we decided to mount these pipes onto wooden pieces using these clips. We started by marking where these clips are going to be put. Then we got to a point where we needed to cut these pipes so they would each have an equal length, and we used what we had as a tool in there. Limited budget, limited resources.
We have cut this piece from one of the offcuts here, and the reason for that is so that we have the perfect manufactured line to cut by, because this is a meat saw, it's not an actual proper saw for this work. So we're using a meat saw for that, and this allows us to clip it on, and then we have a nice symmetrical circle.
It's the best we could do to revive after this whole cup basically. We faced a couple of problems though.
It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
And we needed some professional help.
En vindt het moet gebeuren, zijn moeder al niet goed geweest. Maar hij is dan slap, man.
Ja, maar je hebt gezegd je moet opwezen. Dan heb je slap gemaakt. Hij was stijf. Dat niet zo
Ik dacht, hij moet opwezen om...
Hij was niet zo stijf, niet. Dat al
te
doen.
wezen. Dat zou duidelijk deel van het probleem zijn.
Luckily, we finished that task by the end of the day. This is the frame after a half day of work. I think we need to start it up, and then we're gonna be moving it inside there. Next day, we started working on making holes in the pipes. But we started by practicing on some of the materials left of cutting these pipes in equal length, which is, by the way, 180 centimeters. And once we figured it out, we started applying this to the pipes we had in our layout. It was not an easy task, and it took a lot of time to finish, in fact. We only finished half of the pipes during the weekend. Next week, Corey finished the other half on his own. Next thing was adding these necks to the pipes after we cleaned them of the plastic dust. Due to cutting them, we noticed some mistakes that we couldn't observe before. There were plastic shavings at the pipes endings, and filing them would have prevented us having that weird ugly texture.
Look at how nice these are. And what I've learned is that when I came over here, I got a bit too hasty. And as you can see, the mold isn't perfectly round. I'm not sure if that's visible enough to you guys. You might be able to see that that thing is not perfect as these are. You can see these look much better. And the reason for that is I did not give it enough time to cool down before I opened the holes. So yeah, definitely give your pipe enough time to cool down after heating them up.
Next thing I know, Corey is wandering in Norway's nature and urban areas, and I stayed in Johannesburg. Of course, because I wanted to.
3 weeks later.
We attached two wooden pieces to the side of the container in order to mount the layout we made, and that took us some time, but it was not a difficult task to achieve. We used normal screws and we were done within 2 hours. And that was the building of one modular cell. Such a container would be capable of containing 24 cells distributed, and that is a long-term goal that we are seeking to achieve. The rest of the videos are going to be concentrated on how to make the single modular cell work in the most efficient way possible. That's it for today's video, guys. See you next time.
So that I'll never feel alone again. They've always been so kind, but now they've brought you away from me. I hope they didn't get your mind. Your heart is too strong anyway. We need to fetch back the time they have stolen from us.